Hi everyone, and welcome to your next unit of the Advanced Higher Computing Science course. It made sense to start with analysis because if you have a look at the arrangements, all the other three units, database design and development, web design and development, and software design and development, all start with analysis and they all have the exact same listed things in the arrangements. Okay, so this is what it includes. Now you'll notice that the first box here, where it's talking about purpose and functional requirements and inputs, processes and outputs, that is basically the exact same information as we had for analysis for hire, okay? The other four boxes are what I plan to talk about over the next couple of weeks, so that hopefully by the summer holidays, we are ready to rock and roll with trying to create the analysis for our own advanced hire project, which I'll give you information about. Today what we're going to do is we're going to focus on feasibility studies and what they are with regards to an advanced hire project or a software development project. Okay, there's four types of feasibility we need to know about advanced hire. Technical, economic, legal, and time. And I'm going to go on to talk about each of these in a lot more detail. Let's have a look at technical first. Now, technical feasibility is basically where you have to think about whether or not it's possible to create the task that you've been asked and whether it's worthwhile. Now, when I talk through all these examples, we're going to presume that we are a software development company and that a company or business has come to us to ask us to create a program. Okay. Now, the first thing you need to do is work out what technologies are required to create the program that they've been asked to make. Okay. If you have them, that's great. If you don't, you might need to acquire them, and also they maybe don't exist yet, so that's something to think about. Okay, so first of all, do they exist? That's an important thing to look at. And then also, if they don't exist, we obviously can't do it. And if they do exist, what do we need to get within our software development company to make sure that we can provide what we've been asked for by the business? Okay. The next thing is, will it work with the current setup the business have? So the type of hardware they have, the computers, the network, will that run the system that they've asked us to create for them? And if not, then we have to think about that. It might run it, but also will it run it alongside all the other stuff that it's doing? So are the processors powerful enough? Is there enough RAM and hard drive space, etc.? Are the client and the company in clear agreement of what the software should be able to achieve? Now, usually what will happen after a feasibility study is that you might go back to the client with like a package A, B, and C, and they decide, which functional requirements they want to include and how much money they're willing to pay. And that has to be made into a clear contract between ourselves, the software development company, and the client business that's come to us. And then lastly, we have to think about any additional issues. So although we can get access to the technology we need, are we going to have to train people up to use it? Do we have people that use it already? Are we going to have to provide ongoing support for this company who's using this new piece of software? Are we giving them a warranty, etc., etc.? Okay, so that all comes under technical feasibility. The next one is economic feasibility. So this is where we're talking about the money side of it, okay? So first of all, a company that comes to us, a business that comes to us, are going to mostly want to know how much it's going to cost them to work out whether or not it's affordable within their company's budget. Okay, we're two companies alongside each other. We want to know whether it's feasible for us, but they also want to know whether they can afford to get it done in the first place. Okay. So they have to work out, or we have to work out, a cost-benefit analysis to basically make sure whether or not it's going to be worth our while to create the program for this company. When we're setting up a new system, it's really important that we consider a few number of things. So the first thing is acquiring, okay? So are there going to be any consultancy fees? Do we need to develop a program? How are we going to do that? Is there training? What are the costs going to be in the acquiring of the software? We then need to think about installation costs, okay? So if we're going to be installing something, is that going to disrupt the services of the company? Is that going to cost them more money? Can we change the time of year that we do it to maybe make that less so? Are they going to require new equipment? Are they going to have to adjust their workplace anyway? Maybe new servers or layouts of workplaces and stuff like that. So again, they need to factor that into their pricing. And then the last one is maintenance. So are we going to have to provide ongoing support? What are we going to charge that for? The company needs to know all of this up front before they make any decisions about going ahead with us making the system for them. Okay, we then need to talk about something called a break-even point. Now you can see on the right there's a figure or a diagram that shows you what a kind of break-even point means. So for a company, usually what we the term that's used is it's a very large capital investment, but as it's ongoing, the benefits will outweigh the costs, so it makes it worthwhile to put the money into the new system. Reasons why you might find that a company might want to upgrade a system that they use or put a new system in place could be things such as reduced running costs, so in the long run it will save them money, even though it's expensive now. Increased operational speed, so they can perhaps get more things done. If it was a call center, for example, and the system was working a lot faster, then they would get more calls put through, again, which would improve customer service. You could get increased throughput of work, so same idea, I suppose, but it means there's more output, more data perhaps being worked through, or more products if it was you're creating a assembly line system for a factory or something like that. And then obviously the last one is better reporting facilities. So if you're in a supermarket, they use reports all the time to work out maybe what needs to get brought into the stock, what's going out of date, all that type of stuff. In schools, we use reporting facilities all the time to track everybody's progress. So things like that are what companies or businesses might come to a software development company like us for, to try and make their companies better. And we have to see what we can provide for a reasonable price. The last one is the legal feasibilities, and that's to do with conflicts that might arise between the proposed system and the legal requirements that might be there. Okay, so for example, the new system, is that going to affect any current contracts or liabilities that might already be in place? Are there any health and safety issues which might go against like local laws or the Data Protection Act with regards to data being stored by the company? And what are their software licensing implications? Now, software licensing used to be something that we used to talk about a lot in the old standard grade and higher computing science courses, but I'm aware that you guys might not know a lot about it. Okay, so when we talk about software licensing, when you are giving a product or selling a product to a company or business, they have to think about where they can use it, and they can buy different types of licenses. So these are the main types of licenses that you get if somebody's buying a program. So you can get a client license, which means per computer. You can get a server license, so every computer connected to the server can get a program. You can get a network license, so that can include more than one server. You can get a site license, and remember, a site can go over a number of different buildings. And then you could get a period of operation license. So for example, you could pay like a yearly contract. And examples of that we use every single day. So if you think about the school, for example, the school has a full network license for CMIS. Every single computer in the school has CMIS. If we think of Visual Basic, for example, we've only got a client license for Visual Basic. It's only in the computers in the computing department. Okay, if you think about Show My Homework, we pay an annual license for that. So every year we sign up to that. Or SumDog, for example, we pay an annual license for the use of some of those online pieces of software. So again, it just depends on what the company are looking for, and you can change the licensing as you go on, but it can work into the economic feasibility sometimes as well, as it can be quite expensive. Okay, but I would say these are for a lot bigger systems than what we're talking about for like just an advanced hire project type thing. Okay, the last one is time feasibility, and it's really important because obviously it's the main factor in developing a new system. If a company doesn't have time to complete a project, they can't really take it on. Okay, and there's could be a number of different questions that are asked at this stage. For example, how long do you think it's going to take to develop this system that the company have brought to you? Do you think you can do it, and how long will it take you? Will it be ready within the specified time frame? So even if it takes you 100 hours to complete, but if they need it done next week, then that's not any good if you've got something else on. So you have to think about whether or not you could complete it in the specified time frame or when they need it for. And also installation is a big thing. If you were asked to create a new system for, let's say, a clothing company like New Look, you don't want to be installing that 2 weeks before Christmas, because that's probably when they're going to be really busy and people are buying Christmas presents. But they might be happy for you to install it the first couple of weeks in January, because that's when they're really quiet. Or if they've got January sales, maybe just now would be a good time to do it because we're all in lockdown. So there's things like that that you can consider when you're thinking about your time feasibilities. Other things can also impact that. So if there's other tasks that we are doing as a software development company, do we have time to develop it even though it takes 100 hours? Do we have enough manpower to put into that? Also, are there any other organised absences or events within the company, which means that we can't provide that service just now? And then lastly, resources are a big thing. So if you think about, let me think of an example. Say like a space company that work for NASA, but there's 3 different teams of software developers and they're developing different parts of programs that are going to be used in the next shuttle mission. If they all need to be able to test it on the simulator, and there's only one really expensive simulator in the software development company, then obviously time is going to impact who can get access to that resource when. So sharing resources amongst teams, because usually software development companies are not only working on one thing, they might have a number of different projects on the go. Okay, so your task is obviously to try and create some feasibility studies. However, they're not going to be anywhere near as hard as what that sounded, okay? I've done an example for you so you can see. But one thing to remember is when you're doing feasibility studies, you have to look at the four main sections. You have to look at technical, economic, legal, and time. Okay, so here's the example that I gave myself. Here's the brief, right? So I've been asked to write a program which allows users to do some memory brain training. The program should provide a set of cards which are face down, and the user will then click to turn them over, and it will find, matching pictures on the back, and you've got to try and find them all, find the pairs effectively. A timer will be used so the user can test how long it takes to complete a puzzle, and then the game should be produced as a mobile application which can be downloaded onto smartphones and played via touchscreen. Now, if somebody said to me that's what you're doing for your advanced hire project, then what I need to do is look at, is it technically feasible? Can I afford it? Is it legal? And what time do I have to be able to do it? Okay, so I know that games like this have been produced on Python before, and I have a very similar example that I think could be adapted, so that might save me some time, okay? The technology exists because what I did is I went onto the Android Play Store and the Apple App Store and found two similar games, Match Masters and Matching Pairs, so I know that the capabilities are there to be able to do it. I have a Python and Pygame module downloaded. I've had a little bit of research on the internet and worked out if I download something called Kivy, it can be used to help turn any Python and Pygame created programs into a mobile application which could be run on smartphones. And I'm confident if I can create all of the requirements for the system as soon as I learn the additional modules coding. So basically I need to do a little bit of training on Kivy, but I can make the game and I just need to work out how to adapt it. I'll need to work through some additional training on Kivy in conjunction with Python. So again there I'm thinking about, is it feasible? What software? Will it work on the hardware? Well, yes, because there's examples there already. What do I need to learn and can I do it? Okay, that's the feasibility. We then move on to the economic, right? So economic, I'm going to be using Python, Pygame and Kivy. All of those are open source programs, which means there's no cost for me to actually get hold of the hardware and the software I require. They all run fine on my laptop, so no additional hardware required. And one thing that I might have to purchase is suitable copyright images, for example. So if I can't find anything that's copyright free, then I might need to pay somebody to draw me some images, draw some myself, or purchase some. Okay, so that can come into my prices and costing. I don't think there's any costs apart from applications to get on the App Store and the Play Store, but again, that could be something that maybe I would need to look into here. Okay, legal feasibility. As the game is similar to Pairs, I went on to the general trademark register and I couldn't find an actual trademark for the game Pairs. So luckily there is none, but I also need to make sure the theme is not too close to any other trending apps in the market. So if I, rather than just looking at the first two, which I found, which was Match Masters and Matching Pairs, I'll go through and have a look. And if they were jungle related or whatever, animals related, I'd try to stick away from themes that were already there to make mine different, I suppose, right? I can ensure that images that are used in the creation of game are copyright free or paid for. So that's obviously a big one legally to make sure that you're not breaking the Copyright Designs and Patent Act. And then ensure that the game gets approval from the Play Store and the App Store prior to going live on either of those systems. Okay, sometimes take a little bit more to get them onto the App Store than the Play Store, but obviously those would both need to be checked before going live. And the last one is the time feasibility. Now this is quite personal if it's you doing the program. Obviously as a software development company it would look a little bit different, okay? So I'm the only person that's going to be working on the task, obviously. I estimate the project is likely to take about 50 hours to create fully. As this is a part-time job to be completed alongside my normal teaching career, I will only be able to work on it during evenings and weekends. I have a 2-week holiday booked at the start of July. Well, let's just pretend because we all wish we were going on holiday. And I have another job, another task, side task, which I'm due to start in August. So theoretically, the time feasibility study means I need to kind of do my training now, and then I need to start it as soon as I get back from a holiday in July and have it completed from August. That's my feasibility, but can I do that? Is there anything else on, etc. with what I would be writing in that section? Okay, so I have provided you with a template that's got 3 briefs. I've also included this one so you can see it as an example. And just want you to have a play about and see if you can come up with technical feasibility studies. Have I asked you to create those 3 programs? Could you do it? And what barriers might you come up across? Okay, and I will catch you later in the week, guys. Speak to you later. Bye.